organisations, and it's just a societal kind of, raising awareness around that. Going back to the documentary, sorry, we keep going back to the documentary. It's just an amazing program to watch. But I noticed you mentioned in the documentary the burden about speaking up when you were mentally struggling. So I think you said in the documentary, when people were asking you questions like, how are you going? How's your knee feeling? Do you feel did it ever get to a stage where it just all got too much for you?
It probably didn't get to a stage where it all got too much, but there were stages where I was really struggling, and I think I touched on it once in the documentary and say I don't have anything to look forward to. And they're probably the hardest times when you get into that sort of depressed spiral, and it's really hard to get out of. And so yeah, they are the real struggles that you sort of unfortunately go through. And yeah, that's where you need the people around you to reinforce things and to give you that support. And that network is so crucial because I remember I used to, particularly in my first and second rehab, if I had a bad day, then if I had a bad hour or about a couple of hours in rehab at the club, then I would instantly have a bad day. The rest of the day was written off, and then it would sometimes spiral into the week. And so I'd train to go quite poorly, which is going to happen in a 9-month rehab. You're not going to have good days every day. And I'd have a poor day. I'd go home. I'd sit on the couch and watch TV, and I wouldn't leave the couch the rest of the day. And so basically I'd write off the day, and I'd be flat and negative all day, and that's what would happen. And I didn't quickly learn, but I did over time, unfortunately, learn that, all right, if I've had a bad day in rehab, I can't let that ruin the rest of my day. And so I've got to force myself to actually do something different or change it. And so I'd have a bad day in rehab and go, okay, look, not happy with how that worked. So what I've got to do is I've got to turn to other outlets that I've got so that I can focus on them and forget about the bad session I had this morning and move on from it. So that was really helpful for me, because then I would go and go, all right, what do I enjoy doing? So if it would be, all right, maybe I'll go play golf if I could, or if I'd go to the beach, or I coached for a few years. So I'd go home and I'd work out my game plan for the weekend and pick the team for the week. And so what would then happen is a couple of hours later, I would have basically forgotten or erased the bad negative of the rehab from my mind. And then you'd be more inclined to go, all right, I'll go out for dinner with a few teammates or a few mates tonight, or I'll go and do something else. And you come into training the next day and go, all right, let's do it, ready to go. Whereas when you don't have these other outlets and other things to turn to, it spirals into a bad day, and you walk in the next day in a horrible mood, down flat, and it would in turn impact your rehab, and it does impact your recovery time as well, how your body heals and everything like that. So that was a massive learning curve for mine. And again, it's so important that you find those outlets that you can turn to and enjoy. And I'll pass on that everyone's different. Like it might not be any of those things. It might be reading a book if you enjoy do that. It might be fishing. It might be doing a podcast. It might be listening to a podcast. It's things that different people find enjoyable, and it can't be something that you don't enjoy, because I had study that I did, but I didn't enjoy studying. So if I had a bad day in rehab, there's no way I would be able to sit at home in front of the books and start reading up books, because my mind would just not be in it. So it's got to be something that is stimulating, that you do enjoy doing. And that was something that, made a massive difference for mine. And it's a really important point, I think, mental health wise, that people probably don't realise enough, and it's probably not educated enough that all right, find things that you really enjoy doing, and when things aren't going well, that's when you have to turn to them the most.
Yeah, really great